All right, here we are with another episode of the Slack Doctors. I am Dr. Chip.
I am Dr. Bob.
We had a guest scheduled for today, but he is a two-time no-show. I'm gonna find out if he slept through, napped through our episode today or not afterwards. Which is funny because he was texting with or messaging me all week on Facebook about all kinds of stuff to talk about, and oh well, we'll talk about it without him, I guess. Did you have any new
five demerits when you finally see him?
Right. Well, I mean, we'll give him one more strike. I mean, I'll give him one more chance, but I don't know. The guy, he does live way up in Stewart too, which, you know, that's a pretty good haul to drive down here just for an hour.
You could always schedule one at Palm Beach Gardens if you know he's going to show. But
yeah, but I wouldn't mind doing an episode just up there just to see it. To tell you the truth, just to see what it's like. But no. So, did you have any news nuggets?
No, I had a rough, busy week. I was down there for Thanksgiving, and I predicted this, and I told my sister before so my niece got us a really nice Airbnb. It was a really generous thing for her to do, and she wanted to have her whole immediate family, you know, her brother, me, her mom, and her dad, and her boyfriend, and all have Thanksgiving dinner together. So she spent a bunch of money on the Airbnb and spent a bunch of money on all the groceries and everything. We went down there and cooked it. All in all, it ended up being fine, but like single thing that could go wrong did, you know, like I understand Airbnb is expensive and whatnot. So she only got it for like Wednesday and Thursday, and then we had to leave Friday morning. Now, this upshot of that is that we had to drive the day before and the day after Thanksgiving. So like two of the worst travel days in the year. And it lived up to the expectation. It's normally a 4-hour drive for me. It was 6.5 hours to get down there and 7.5 hours to get back.
Wow.
Just nothing but accidents, lane closures, congestion, construction, fatal accidents, like bad accidents on the turnpike. On the way down, we sat at a dead stop for 35 minutes. Sat there waiting. And of course, we had the dog with us too, which made it even more of a nightmare because, you know, the dog's getting nervous. Then, of course, I hit some debris from a tire that came off of a truck, and it ripped the shroud off the bottom of my car. Now, I've since taken it to a mechanic and had the piece removed and whatever, and it's not that critical of a piece, but I didn't know that on the road, and the sound of it scraping against the road on the way back made for a very tense and uncomfortable ride. I was so pissed off. I made my sister sit in just complete silence, turn the radio off, and just for 2 hours just drove with an evil glare on my face.
Driving sucks, dude.
That was just the traffic portion of the problem.
Oh, right.
The biggest problem was like running out of shit, right? So an Airbnb, yes, it's stocked with towels and dishes and stuff like that, but it's not stocked for Thanksgiving, and nor did I expect it to be. I mean, that's ridiculous, right? So I brought every utensil, casserole dish, you know, vegetable peel, everything I could think of. But of course, I missed a couple of items. And when you miss a couple of items that are kind of important, like a potato masher, we were making mashed potatoes and sweet potato casserole, which we ended up mashing with forks, just took way longer. But like nobody that I knew had a spare anything, because these are all items that typically a household only has one of, and it's Thanksgiving, so they're using them. So like I tried to bum things from other people and just couldn't get anything, and the whole thing was a nightmare. But the worst thing for sure was Thanksgiving morning. All right. So the night before, my sister was making macaroni salad, and I was going to make macaroni and cheese. Those were two of our side dishes that we're making. So she makes the mac salad the night before, logically, so it has time to absorb the flavors and whatnot. It's much better that way. I think nothing of this. I watched her make it, not intently, but whatever. But I do remember she made so much that she had to throw some of the noodles away. Like she had too many noodles to mix into this giant bowl or whatever. Again, I didn't think anything of it until the next morning, Thanksgiving Day. I go in the kitchen of this Airbnb, start assembling things, get cheese to grate it, fill a pot with water and salt, start it to boil, go look for the macaroni. Ain't no macaroni in the house. Now, I remember there were 2 boxes when we were putting the groceries away. Then my mind flashes to, wow, she sure made a lot of noodles. So she's got her dog in the backyard. I walk out, and I'm already being a dick at this point. I'm like, hey, did you use both fucking boxes of macaroni to make the macaroni salad? She goes, yeah. I go, how the fuck am I supposed to make macaroni and cheese without macaroni? And she goes, I thought you had some. I'm like, where? Hidden in the trunk of my car? You put all the groceries away? What do you mean you thought I had some? In my ass? Where do I keep extra macaroni? So trying to find a store that sells noodles on Thanksgiving.
Right. Oh, yeah.
I ended up having to go to Whole Foods, dude. It was like going to Disney World. There were more people in that store.
You know,
there were people darting through the parking lot, racing into the store. I almost hit 3 pedestrians just trying to get a parking space. I went into the store, went right to the pasta line, grabbed the only 2 boxes left of anything that was, resembling. And of course, it's not elbow macaroni. That shit sold out days ago. It's whatever shape I can get my hands on. And then I stood in line I set a timer on my phone because I'm like, these lines are insane. 16 minutes just to get to the register to pay for it. So all in all, a trip to Whole Foods took like an hour and 10 minutes. But the best part is, I don't know if you know this, my dad's name was Randy, and he used to do this thing that became known in our family as pulling a Randy. Pulling a Randy involves just leaving it's like an Irish goodbye, but even more vicious. So it's whatever it is you're doing that you don't want to do, you just get up and leave. She was convinced when I left to go to the store that I was pulling a Randy. So much so that she even told my niece and her boyfriend, he's not coming back. So I put the fear of God in her. When I went back, she was so nice and so meek and quiet the rest of the trip.
I was going to say that better have been some damn good mac and cheese. That's all I'm saying.
It was pretty damn good. And then I said, so you really thought I was going to pull a Randy, huh? And she goes, I didn't think you were coming back for dinner. I said, well, did you see me leave with my stuff, like my clothes? Like you have all my dishes. Like, what did you really think? Then she clearly doesn't understand what a Randy is, because she said, oh, I just thought you weren't coming back for dinner. I thought you'd come back, after dinner or the next day. I said, that's not pulling a Randy. She goes, what do you mean? I said, pulling a Randy means going home, regardless of if it's 3 or 4 states away or whatever. Then she goes, you mean you would have just left me and my dog there? I said, if I pulled a Randy, yeah, absolutely.
That's the definition of pulling a Randy.
That's the definition of it. Pulling a Randy doesn't involve regard for other people's feelings. It's a purely selfish act.
Yeah.
There's a lot of collateral damage in it. It's done, it's not taken lightly. It's the kind of thing that leaves a marked impression on somebody for years and years. He pulled them on me a couple of times, and I'll never forget him. So,
wow. Yeah, that makes my
Thanksgiving
14, relatively...
working at the Gathering. You remember the Gathering?
Oh yeah,
yeah. And he had come down for a vacation or something, and told me he was going to pick me up from work. He was going to come pick me up when I got off work at like 9 o'clock or whatever. 9 o'clock rolls around, he doesn't pick me up. So I call my mom. I'm like, did you see him today? She's like, yeah, I saw him. He wasn't in a great mood or whatever. Said he left to go get a beer or something like that. This is in West Palm Beach, Florida. He drove all the way back to Charlotte, pulled a Randy. Didn't call me, didn't tell me. And this was like I was 14. This was before the internet. So
right, before cell phones.
I had no way of knowing what happened. So I'm like calling hospitals and police departments and everything. And finally, after like 3 days, I call his house and he answers. And I'm like, oh, well, I'm glad you're alive, But that's what an actual Randy is. But it's so funny for her to tell her daughter, yeah, he's not coming back.
Well, speaking of the Gathering and Thanksgiving, that's what is it raining up by you still, or it's probably done by you now, right?
No, it's not raining.
But it did, right? Earlier?
No.
Overnight really. Even?
No.
Oh,
if it did, I was asleep and didn't notice.
What's that?
If it did, I was asleep and didn't notice.
Oh, must have been at night then. Yeah, because it's pouring here. But I was going to say, and it also like rained the day before Thanksgiving. For some reason, right around Thanksgiving every year, it rains down here. I'm not sure why. But the one year that I definitely remember it raining a lot is I was living in the house in Belvedere Homes with the car in the living room. And that neighborhood got like completely flooded. It was Thanksgiving Day. I was supposed to go to work, and I basically called them and said, "Hey, I can't get to work. I can't. There's 4 foot of water. I can't even really leave my house." They're like, "Well, we'll come like get as close as we can, to pick you up or whatever." And I had to literally like bring my shoes and pants and stuff like that over my shoulder, wade out about 3 blocks from that house to like the 4-way stop was the closest they get to my house with the flooding. And get in the car and have them drive me to the Gathering so I could work that night. But yeah, it seems like every year around this time, it rains like crazy, right around Thanksgiving. I don't know why. It's definitely a pattern, though.
You know, another weird weather phenomenon that I remember about living down there. Now, granted, this takes place in January, so in theory it should be cold. But as you and I both know, sometimes it just stays warm. You don't really get much of a winter. But it seems like whenever the South Florida Fair is about to launch, we get a cold snap.
Yeah.
It seems like I always remember it's cold at the fair.
Yep.
Not necessarily raining, but always cold.
Yeah, and sometimes rainy too. You're right. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I mean, and they have this motorcycle thing where you ride your motorcycle through the fair. And I remember every time I've ever done that, it's been a pretty crisp, clear, crisp, cold night. Yeah, you're right.
I remember the first winter when I moved to North Carolina in the 90s. I was maybe 20, 21 years old at the time. I had spent my whole life, or at least my whole adult, semi-adult driving life, from the age of 14 in South Florida. So I'd never experienced any ice or snow.
Or hills.
So pardon?
Or hills.
Oh yeah, for that. Yeah, you're right, because hills do come into play in this story. So I'm living in Charlotte. It's winter. I'm trying to go to work now. At the time, I had a Ford Ranger pickup truck.
Oh, I remember that.
And I was so stupid. I didn't even have anything weighted in the back of this thing. No kitty litter, no sand, no nothing.
Wow.
I went to work one day, and it was not a good experience. There was a hill on the way to work, and I tried to stop, and I just proceeded to slide completely. There was nothing I could do. Slide down the hill at like a 45-degree angle, honking my horn because there were pedestrians crossing the street. The area I worked in was a place called Myers Park, which is where, and I'm assuming it's still the same kind of neighborhood in Charlotte. It's kind of the ritzy area where a lot of doctors and attorneys and stuff live. It's near some of the hospitals. The houses are really, really expensive. So the last thing, I don't want to hit anybody, especially pedestrians, with my car, but I certainly don't want to hit people with pockets like these that might well actually be an attorney. It's going to sue me and my descendants into poverty for the rest of existence. Their eyes, I saw the whites of their eyes when I was honking. They got out of the way. And even going to work was pointless. There was no business that day. The next day I was like, I'm not coming. I'm not driving in the ice and snow to go stand around and make no money.
Yeah, one of the 4 accidents I saw on the way down here, one of them I witnessed pulling up to a traffic light on Palmetto Park, and some chick slid right into the back of another chick. I almost pulled up and said, look, you didn't do enough damage. It's not even, you're not going to fit, you're not going to get to the deductible. Just go home. Just drive away. Everybody just go home. And they're like trying to, exchange information. It's like, don't bother. It's not worth it.
Right. It really is what you're used to. And then having thought that was bad, the 2 years I lived in Ohio, those winters, those things were, insane. I never lived anywhere where if you go to the grocery store certain times of the year, parking is a free-for-all. Why? Because you can't see any of the lines anywhere. So as soon as one person parks slightly wrong, everybody else has to park based on that guy's angle of his car. And by the end of the day, the whole parking lot, it looks like it's almost like a swastika. There's just too many vehicles all pointing in perpendicular angles. It was insane. And, at least once every winter, you totally beef it and wipe out on an icy patch or something. You're carrying groceries or something, and that's it. You just go down. I can see why all the old people like to come to Arizona and Florida and stuff, because breaking hips is like just a seasonal event. Fall down, break a hip, fall down, break a hip.
Yeah, this is true. So one of the things I was going to talk to our guest about, because he's been in some kind of armed services. I don't even know what kind, but I was gonna grill him and see if he knows he was being indoctrinated in basic training. Because you got to imagine most people that go into the service and go into basic know that they're going to try to break me down to my lowest level and build me back up in the image of whatever. So, most people know.
That is the whole point of it.
Right. But I imagine there's got to be some level of Gomer Piles that go in there and just don't really get it and actually get broken down to tears and then get rebuilt in this other image of, propagandized. So I feel like asking guys that are in the service, do you know exactly when is it that they broke you, or when is it that you started believing the indoctrination, or did you just know the whole time? But like, for example, I would say that, Like when you were going to school, you knew they were trying to indoctrinate you, right?
Or, I mean, are you referring to like the Pledge of Allegiance or just school in general?
Yeah, all of the above.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah.
I mean, see, that's what that's my point.
Even from a young age, it was apparent to me that a lot of this has to do with following orders and being conforming, and proof
Right.
that you can show up on time or that you can complete an assignment that's given to you. It's not necessarily about how much you've learned or how much you know.
Right. And I would argue that because people like you and I were so aware that they were trying to indoctrinate us, that's why it didn't work. That's why we're not indoctrinated into thinking certain things. And
now, I've never been through boot camp, though, so I can't speak for the fact that.
Never been through what?
I've never been in the military. I've never been through boot camp.
No.
Like
and that's a totally different kind of indoctrination. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was just going to say, that's a whole different level of indoctrination, of having somebody scream at you, wear you down physically. They have control over your food. I mean, I'm not so sure that
Wait,
just
you never
because
played
you're
football?
aware of what they're trying to do, that you're going to be able to withstand it. You might still get indoctrinated.
I was going to say, you never played
from the
football?
sheer physical portion of the program.
I mean, I played football. They got in your face, you screamed. You went out there and ran laps till you almost collapsed. It was pretty close.
Yeah, it's not the same, though. You can quit the team.
That's true, and I did.
Yeah. The team doesn't own you for a certain period of time.
This is true.
The team can't send you somewhere where people will shoot at you. I mean, it's not. I mean, yes, it's physically grueling, and they do yell at you, but
right,
not the same.
But this also springboarded me into the further conversation I was going to have with our guest, which is this whole thing with Venezuela. This has just gotten ridiculous. All right, we're about to start a real war over a fake drug war. It's like, the drug war is completely a joke. The fact that they're about to start...
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Even the fact they're about to start a real war about it is so unbelievably stupid. I would have so much more respect if they just came out and said, we want the oil. Just tell the truth. Just tell us why you're doing it. Don't give us this bullshit about... And then, of course, you saw that Trump just recently, yesterday or something, day before yesterday, pardoned some Honduras guy that was a coke trafficker.
Yeah, who had gotten 45 years.
Yeah. So, I mean, don't try to, don't piss down my back, tell me it's raining. And, this isn't about drugs, and drugs should be legal. And, truthfully, if they wanted to do any damage to any drug dealers, they would just legalize it. And look, what a big boost to Big Pharma that would be if you had to go to Walgreens to get your fentanyl.
If this gentleman from Honduras was given 45 years for the trafficking and the whatnot that he did, and I'm assuming it was on a massive scale and hundreds of billions of dollars worth of drugs.
Who knows?
His positioning, and granted, 45 years is nothing to sneeze at. But if that's a 45-year sentence, then how can you possibly justify killing people on boats on the suspicion that they might have drugs and just blowing the boats out of the water?
Right. Well, and not only
drug
that,
smuggling, drug selling, drug distribution is not a death sentence. It's not punishable by death.
No.
There's literally every one of those boats blown up is a war crime. There's or murder, depending on whether we're actually at war or not.
Exactly. It's not war crimes because there's no war, so it is in fact just murder. And did you see that Mike Johnson is now starting? He teamed up with some Democrat, as a matter of fact, and they're going to start investigating egg theft because they know that's too much. You can't do that. You can't. And here's the thing: they're basically mostly looking at the fact that he blew up the one boat and then went back and hit it again to kill two guys clinging to the wreckage. Like those guys weren't probably going to die anyway.
Yeah.
All right, so for me, even look like as the libertarian cheap mother that I am, I'm like, why waste the extra bomb? Those bombs cost like $50,000 a piece. Like why? What was the point? It's that those rockets are expensive.
Do those bombs have expiration dates? Is there any argument to be made that they simply they got to use them up before they're no good anymore?
Yes, because it's a technological expiration date. Those probably the old rockets that we got to get rid of these old rockets. We got the new models waiting to come get rolled out.
Which begs the bigger and more horrifying question of all the ICBMs that are stockpiled. that have been sitting there for some of them decades. How viable are they? Are they going to work if they're ever launched?
Well, no, they don't.
Launch?
They do updates and maintenance on those things. You just can't put nuclear material in a bomb and just leave it for 50 or 100 years or something. You got to go there and monitor it and make sure it's not leaking and change it out sometimes. And so, yeah, I think they monitor and maintain those things on a pretty regular basis. But
well, one would hope.
yeah, that's what I was just about to clarify. You would hope so. And then again, we're talking about a country that, in the Soviet Union's case, that fell apart. Who knows what happened to some of the, that's why they say, oh, Iran's. And dude, if Iran wanted nukes, they would just.
And on paper, they still have more warheads than we do. Not a lot more. But,
yeah.
I mean,
viable.
How are we supposed
do.
to trust any of the numbers?
Yeah, absolutely. And, and here's the whole thing. The whole legality. All right, so the whole Venezuelan thing has now got a big rift in the Republican Party between, well, not even the Republican Party, between the Republicans and the Democrats, because some of the Democrats came out, including this Schlotnick chick, who's really just basically CIA. So the CIA and a few Democrats are saying, hey, don't follow illegal orders. So, I mean, we had a whole movie about this called A Few Good Men. You can't handle the truth, yada, yada, yada. That's the whole moral of the fucking movie, is that you don't follow illegal orders. And now you got all these people going, oh, these guys should be hung for sedition for suggesting somebody follow the law. It's insane.
Yeah, I mean, wasn't that the whole point of the Nuremberg trials? That you can't just claim I was following orders as an excuse.
I mean, yeah, but you could have had a Nuremberg type trial after just about every war that we've had since then, and held people responsible. But we don't. I mean, that's not what we do. We just go.
It is contradictory and insane to think that we try to apply laws to warfare. It really, when it really comes down to it, two nations, two groups in a life or death struggle are trying to kill each other, and yet we've argued of certain ways that you can or can't do it. Chemical warfare, flamethrowers. Hell, the Germans tried to even claim that shotguns were a cruel and unusual weapon during World War I because they were so effective at trench warfare.
Right.
Trench guns, cleaning them out.
In this this feud between the Republicans and the Democrats, technically, I think they could charge Tom Cruise with sedition now, right? For being in that movie and purporting the whole. So you had the Kelly guy, the Slotnick guy, Tom Cruise. They should all be hung for sedition. It's so crazy. And then, and then the other thing. What was the other thing I was going to say about that? Oh, and here's the whole thing. All right, so everybody says, there hasn't been a legal war since World War II. We have not voted on a war as per the Constitution since World War II.
That was the last time Congress declared war, correct?
Exactly. So every war since then, every engagement, every police action, every terrorist action, every assassination, every overthrowing of any government, all that stuff is completely illegal. That the orders that nobody should have been following. So so the fact that and here's the problem. Here's why Congress refuses to vote to go to war, because then we could hold them accountable. You could go, okay, this guy voted for war, this guy did not. You get voted out, you get voted in. That's why they won't do it. I mean, because otherwise they can always just go, oh, I didn't think it was really a good idea. I mean, they voted on something with Iraq, though, right? Because they used to hold that over Hillary's head. They didn't vote to go to war in Iraq, did they? Or no, that was the authorization thing. That's the last thing they voted on, right? The Authorization Act that basically says they can go to war whenever they want.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so that must be what they're talking about with Hillary, and like she voted for the Authorization Act to go to war with Iraq, which is when they pulled that bullshit. Yeah, so I mean, if we went back to, there's two things we need to do. We need to go back to voting on war in Congress, first of all. The other thing that seems to really be good for getting rid of war, we need to bring back the draft. I mean, when we had the draft, we were the closest to, the people actually revolting against the government going, that's it, we're not doing this shit anymore. And then they got rid of the draft, and now all of a sudden everybody's like, oh, yeah, okay, just go kill whoever you want.
Now, the Selective Service Act is still a thing, though, right?
I assume so. Yeah, they could bring back the draft if they want. Sure.
I mean, I remember when I was, in high school having to sign up for the Selective Service Act, and
yeah, I had to register for the draft.
I'm sure a lot of people don't do it. I don't know what the actual ramifications are for not doing it. I think it just means if you don't do it, I mean, technically it is a crime and it is punishable, but it's never enforced.
Don't do what?
But I do think it prohibits you from ever, if you don't do it, from ever getting like federal loans or anything.
Don't do what? What are you talking about?
Like if you're a young man and you just don't register with the Selective Service Act.
No, they don't register people anymore. You're just automatically registered.
Oh, I didn't realize they changed the manner in which the registration.
Well, I don't think anybody's had to register.
You had to fill something out and register yourself.
No, I don't think they've had to do that for a long time. For the same reason they don't, they just register. Yeah, they don't, you're a citizen, you're registered. Yeah, I don't know. The only reason we had to register for the draft is because they were actually, I think when I was first going to high school, they were still drafting people. Or maybe it was junior high. But I mean, when we registered, it wasn't that far past when they were still doing it.
Right.
I mean, they were doing it in the
last
70s.
draft, like 74?
I thought it was later than that, but I don't know. You could be right. Because, my first year of high school was 77, so... when I was in like junior high-ish, they were probably still drafting, but yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's, when you have to take people that don't, your kids got to go die, they kind of start going, oh, maybe this war thing's not such a good idea, That's about the only way it seems to be able to stop it. Anyway.
So I was looking at some of our views for our shorts, and honestly, I can't ascribe any rhyme or reason to why the ones take off, the ones that do versus the ones that don't.
I agree. It is very weird.
But I will tell you that the last one I uploaded, which was about the incident in the White House where President Trump sprayed somebody with a little bit of cologne, has gotten a ridiculous amount of engagement at a ridiculous speed. It's already over 1,000, and it's got a couple of comments. And one of the comments that I wanted to bring up today, which is, we talked about two aspects of it, which was that, does that guy stink? And then you brought up the whole James Bond possibility of spraying some sort of nanobite or agent or virus or whatever on him.
Right.
One of the comments was that Trump was doing it preemptively to cover up his own stench, and that because he stinks. And then that reminded me. Have you ever heard? You know who James Carville is, right?
What's that?
You know who James Carville is?
Oh, yeah.
I think he was a speechwriter for Carter, and when they're in the Carter administration. These videos are kind of old, but man, for a while there, he was going on a rant claiming that Trump was actually incontinent and wore diapers and that had a horrific scent about him, and like just insane. And I guess based on the comment that this woman, I think it was a woman, left on our video, that maybe people are still adhering to that or thinking that.
Yeah, that Carville guy's crazy. That guy's wacko.
Oh yeah, he is, for sure.
Yeah. No, but speaking of Trump, one of the things that I thought was pretty funny is, all right, so Trump is claimed to be an FBI informant. All right, now if that's true, why would he not be a CIA informant or a KGB informant? I mean, it basically, and here's the funny thing is, I wouldn't put it past him to be involved with all of them and think he's smarter than all of them and can somehow stay above the fray and not get like caught up, and maybe that's something that's in the Epstein files that they won't let out.
What is the criteria though for being an FBI informant? Giving them a tip once? Would that qualify?
I don't know. And I don't even think you have to give them a tip. I think you have to just be willing to give them a tip if it presents itself. I mean, you can be an informant and just never get
any information.
Exactly. Now, clearly, I'm sure Trump had some info. I mean, if he's hanging around with Epstein and but that also means that the FBI knew about what Epstein was doing for decades and didn't do anything about it. Which is not a good look for the FBI or the CIA. I mean, the CIA's got a pretty bad look to begin with anyway.
What have they ever done that is impressive? The CIA. What has the CIA ever done that we as a nation should and could be proud of?
Good question.
What do they pat? What are they? What is their grand achievement or achievements?
That's a great question for our audience. Please leave a comment if you can think of anything.
What have they done that has been a positive influence and left a positive legacy? What are they proud of?
All right. Did you see where those buildings were burning in Hong Kong?
No.
Yeah, some big high rises. I mean, I think they said there were 3 of them, but I could have swore I saw a picture that looks like no less than 9 or 10 high rises completely on fire. And the reason I guess they caught on fire is they were working on them. And I guess in Hong Kong, they use bamboo scaffolding. So all these high rises were surrounded by kindling and just caught fire. And one of the
bamboo wouldn't be enough source of fuel to transfer it to the buildings, though. You think the scaffolding would just burn down and the buildings? I mean,
well, I'm not sure if the bamboo is, it caught on fire from the building being on fire, or if the building caught on fire from the. Either way, the bamboo's going up. It's not gonna. I mean, it's not going to be supple, moist bamboo that's going to be resistant to fire. It's going to be dried out old bamboo that's been there for a while and just going to go up it's like tinder, like it's kindling. It's insane. But the thing is, a lot of these buildings burned and burned and burned and burned for days, still standing. Now, unlike the Twin Towers. Burn for a couple hours, all of a sudden come tumbling down. I don't know.
There's a big difference between fire and planned explosives.
Yeah. You got that right. But yeah, I thought that was just so wild that, I mean, nobody thought that bamboo scaffolding was not a good idea. Or at least maybe somehow make it fireproof before you use it. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know how you would make bamboo fireproof, but who knows? Every once in a while we talk about movies. I saw a thing basically about the making of Eyes Wide Shut. And they're kind of alluding to the fact that movie may have gotten Stanley Kubrick assassinated. Did you ever hear anything about that?
I've never heard that. I have heard that he chose it as his last movie because he knew that he was going to be exposing some things that would basically ruin his career or make it impossible to make another movie. But I haven't heard that with the assassination theory.
Well, supposedly what happened is at the end of the movie, they did like some test screenings, and the movie we see is not Stanley Kubrick's movie at all. Stanley Kubrick's movie apparently was way different. And then all of a sudden he died or got killed or whatever happened, and they re-edited the movie to make it as, it's still not, still doesn't make the Elite look good, but apparently the other version was much worse. I mean, I guess there were a lot of children involved or something like that. But yeah, it's not, and then there were also, I don't know if you've watched the movie enough or remember the movie enough, but I guess apparently at the end of the movie, Tom Cruise and what's her name, Nicole Kidman, give away their child to some guys. Like at the very last shot of the movie is some guys taking away their kid, as if they just sacrificed it to the Elite. Like, yeah, there you go, take our kid.
That seems familiar. I've only seen the movie once, and it was a long time ago.
Me too. Yeah, but when I was watching it, I had no, this was before I ever thought about anything. I thought there was any kind of cabals of people running the country, and I didn't think about anything like that kind of. What year did that come out? It was like the the 90s or was it the 80s? I mean, it had to be the 80s. Sure. Kubrick died in the 80s, didn't he? Yeah, look that one up real quick while I'm. So the other thing I wanted to talk about is somebody was bitching about the island of plastic in the Pacific. You know, the reason they recycle plastic is because it has an inherent value. It's a commodity. So what I'm wondering is how come somebody doesn't go out in the ocean and scoop up all that money?
Because most of the recycling is actually a scam. Only certain types of plastics can be recycled, and generally the amount of energy it required to recycle it is more than it is to just make it from nothing or make it from raw ingredients. It's just virtue signaling and shipping it around
to some extent, I believe you're right.
Not that much money to be made in recycling.
Well, I would have to argue that. What's that?
Eyes Wide Shut was 1999.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yep.
I didn't think it was that. I thought it was back in the 80s. Interesting. Anyway, but here's the thing. Back to the plastic thing. In Brazil, you can turn in plastic for money. So somebody's making money on it. I don't know if maybe that might be a government funded. They might be.
And back to, you're right. Kubrick did die in 1999, the same year that it was released.
Yeah. Yeah, that was definitely, I mean, he died right after that movie. Or, I mean, I don't even know. I think he died before it even came out, if I'm not mistaken. But I don't know. But yeah, I thought that was pretty wild that, like, and, you know, did you hear now that they're saying, did we talk about, what's his name, Macron's have taken out a hit on Candace Owens?
No, not. We haven't talked about Candace and Macron in a while.
Yeah, apparently there's pretty well. Here's the thing: the government and the intel agencies have not confirmed what she said, and she basically said that it's a proven fact that Macron has put out like a $1.5 million hit on her. And that she talked to the intel community, and they confirmed it to her, and that they will, you know, confirm it or whatever. But of course, they're not going to confirm it. They can't do that. But they also haven't denied it. So it's kind of like, who knows? But, and of course, she's claiming also now that some French legionnaires were involved with the Charlie Kirk killing. So I'm not sure how they would be involved with that, or maybe one of them was the shooter or worked in cahoots with Charlie Robinson or whatever. But yeah, that whole thing is, I don't know. Any thoughts?
No, I find it kind of hard to believe that the French Foreign Legion would have been involved in anything.
Well, I mean, who knows? I mean, and there's supposedly all kinds of Egyptian jets that were flying around. So, I mean, you know, it's definitely it's a multinational world. It's, you know, it's definitely not. I mean, even with Kennedy, you know, it was Cuban shooters, and then the mob came and cleaned up Lee Harvey. So it's all these different elements of the CIA, the Cubans, the mafia. You know, it's not like there's not their AO, or, you know. MO, rather, I should say. But and then also, I don't know if you heard about this, but Thomas Massey is claiming that Kash Patel threatened one of his staff that they better, you know, straighten up and fly right, or they're going to start investigating him for something. What? I have no idea. Nor do I don't think Kash does either until they find something.
That's just a funny sentence, that Kash Patel threatening. If it wasn't for his position and the you know, organization behind him, can you imagine many people that are less threatening than Kash Patel? Like,
Good point. And then the other thing is, like, after that Kelly congressman made the comments to not follow legal orders, Trump says they're going to start investigating him for what? What are they going to investigate him for? Telling the truth? I mean, they have to find something they have to either find something or make up something, or I don't know, it's crazy. But it's funny in the podcast world. I don't know if it's just me because I hadn't really been watching him enough, but PBD is kind of seemed to have slipped off my radar or my algorithm or something on my YouTube. I don't know if it's just those guys are not quite as popular. I know that the Adam guy got in trouble just not too long ago for doing something. He got in trouble for saying something. I think even PBD was chastising him on his own show.
Yeah, I've never really watched that guy's show. You told me about him, and I watched like a couple of episodes.
Yeah,
I don't care for him. I don't like his style. I don't.
Well, the only guy I like on that show is the Tom guy, and that guy's brilliant. He's a truth speaker. He makes a lot of sense whatever he says. The rest of those guys, like I said, the two guys, Vinny and Adam, are basically they're the jokers, and then PBD is and the thing is, PBD is just. Everything is sales for him. Like even when he's just trying to tell you something, like if he was trying to tell you your shoes were untied, he'd make it a 5-minute conversation about, if you would walk a lot better.
Studies have shown. Didn't he get his start in some like pyramid scheme or something?
Yeah. He says insurance
marketing scheme or something where he's got his money.
It's supposedly the insurance industry, which is in fact. A bit giant scam, pyramid schemey kind of thing, absolutely. It's the same thing. So, yeah. But it's sales. It's all sales, man. You can sell people, you can sell some of these idiots anything. And I'm proof of that because I was the number one salesman on my very first job I ever really had, official job, which was telemarketing for the stupid the cop fraternity, whatever the hell it was, fraternity of police, and basically
order of police.
Yes, and it didn't take me long.
Bumper sticker that people think is going to prevent them from getting tickets.
Yeah, basically, but I mean that's not what I couldn't say that. But basically, it didn't take me long to figure out. It was really just a numbers game. The more people you called, the more chance you're going to run into some sucker that actually wants this crap. And it's crazy.
I had a job briefly at it, not as a telemarketer, but at a call center. Answering calls. And God, the account they gave me this is the reason why I only lasted. I want to say 3 days, maybe. It was for Comcast, and it was the after hours. So basically, every single call was just people that were utterly pissed off because their cable was out, and it was after service hours, and all they could do is leave me a message, and I could, so I was not going to give them any satisfaction whatsoever. I couldn't help them. All they could do is scream at me, and every single one of them, they took advantage of that. I guess that made them feel better.
Right. They got rid of your position real quick after.
Yeah.
They don't do that anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, that is. Now that I think about it, it is amazing that now granted, they didn't pay me well, but it's amazing that they paid anybody to do that.
I had this weird, wacky job for a while that was, and this was really shady too. This guy ran this, well, it was, but I guess it was legal, but it was really shady. But this guy ran like this company. We didn't work for Comcast. We worked for this guy. But what we basically would do, we'd get these lists of people that were late on their bill. Now, they might only be a couple of days late or a week late or something like that. They weren't like, we're going to shut you off usually late. But we'd basically go to their house, knock on their door, and say, hey, you're late on your Comcast bill. I'm here to take it if you want. And if they pay you, you would make like, I don't know, $10 of it or something like that, or $5 or $10 of it or whatever. And then what they would end up paying would be like an extra, whatever extra penalty for being late would end up going to us. And then I think they ended up paying another late penalty to Comcast afterwards or something like that. It was so weird. It was such a weird,
almost like thug debt collectors, but before it's even officially a debt.
Right. Yeah, it was weird. It was weird. I did that. I didn't do that for very long because you didn't make very much money for the amount of aggravation and driving around and stuff you did. But
and I mean, what do they pay by check or cash? Did you have like a credit card reader?
No, I ended up getting it was a check. You'd get a check for them all, though. Every time, if you could get them to pay you, even just a partial payment, they didn't have to pay the whole thing. If they could pay half, you made money. Anytime you could get money out of them, you made money. I'm not.
Right.
I forget how exactly.
I was just wondering the method of payment. Most people would just write you a check.
No, we would take cash. Well, I think we would take cash or checks. We didn't take credit cards. I know that. But yeah, we would take either cash or checks.
Nowadays, people would try to pay with Bitcoin or something. Like nobody has checks.
Right. Bitcoin.
Apple. Can I swipe my phone? Apple Pay.
Right. Anyway, so one of the things it seems to me that we need to take care of this whole Zionism problem, we need a new wave of McCarthyism. But instead of boot the communists out, we need to boot the Zionists out. And of course, that would mean removing the majority of our government, unfortunately. Definitely most of
I certainly
all
think
Congress.
they could start with dual citizenship for government elected officials. I do think that needs to be looked at a little heavily and possibly changed. It really
it's
is
funny
no reason.
is Zionists are claiming that same thing, but not over Zionism, over the Muslim chick, Iliad, whatever her name is.
On Omar, whatever.
Yeah.
The one who supposedly buried her
they're
brother.
screaming that over that chick. Oh, we can't have these people with dual citizenship. I'm like, I agree.
I agree on both sides.
Exactly.
I agree. Absolutely.
Exactly. It's I don't know. These people MAGA is definitely turned into two wings. There's MEGA, Make Israel Great Again, and then there's MAGA, Make America Great Again, which, I mean, there's such a distinctive line now. I mean, you got your Massey, you got your Marjorie Taylor Greene, you got your Tucker, Candace, Dave Smith, you could go on and on and on about the people that once supported Trump that are like, oh yeah, no, might as well just impeach him now. He's useless. But I mean, none of them can say they regret voting for him, because what's the alternative? The alternative couldn't be any better.
Well, he's got 2 more years to try to push whatever he wants to push through.
I don't know if Trump's going to make it. And here's the other thing. If apparently a bunch of these Republicans, like other than Marjorie Taylor Greene, apparently another one quit. Apparently 2 or 3 more are saying they're going to quit. So if enough Republicans quit and the Democrats take control of Congress, Trump might as well just retire. He'll be useless at that point. Might as well just install J.D. Vance at that point. What's he going to do? Without, he'll be a lame duck president for sure for the rest of his term. Let's see what else we got. Oh, and I don't know why, but I've been seeing a bunch of clips about 60 Minutes, and they're very intent on selling public education. I've seen two things. One was, I think I talked about the one already, where they were almost gonna cure breast cancer, but then they cut their funding. Right? Didn't we talk about that last week?
Yeah, and you posted something about education on your Facebook page. I was looking at your Facebook earlier.
Yeah, because they just did another one where they had these kids that, as like for a science fair or something, they developed this test, which I'm not sure why, but apparently this test will tell you whether you have Lyme's disease in 2 days rather than a few weeks. But my question is, what difference does it make? I mean, is Lyme disease time sensitive like that? Or that if you know you have it sooner that you can do something about it? Or does it matter? Once you have it, you got it.
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
But I mean, that's my point. It's like, look, that's a great achievement for high school kids, but to what end? I mean, if it's just a bunch of research that says, all right, we can figure out you got Lyme disease sooner than we used to, big deal. Doesn't seem like they're just heavy on the propaganda for public education. I guess they feel the heat of public opinion turning against public education, because they are definitely pushing it. They're giving it all kinds of airtime. Oh, God, I almost forgot about this. So there's a rumor going around, and I don't know.
It looks like it might be a little time sensitive. There might have been a reason for that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why was it say?
Anyway, it says, yes, Lyme disease is time sensitive, especially for the initial infection and preventing later complications.
Oh, okay.
So
good for these kids.
kudos to these kids. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering about, but they never say that in the story. They never once say that, oh, yeah, this will make it so much better for this reason. They just say that these kids figure this out, and it's great because they're in school and this and that and the other thing, and I don't know. I don't get it. But the one thing I wanted to touch on before there's a rumor going around that Erica Kirk is pregnant. But here's the thing. From what I heard, she's 8 weeks pregnant, and Charlie Kirk was killed 10 weeks ago.
Right. So this is Vance's kid.
That's where we don't really know. And there's also other rumors now going around, which, this is all internet bullshit. This could completely be all bullshit. But there are other rumors going around that the kids that they have aren't his. That they're somebody else's kids or something, but who the hell knows?
Yeah, I haven't heard any of those rumors, nor have I heard the pregnancy rumor.
Well, we'll find out sooner or later. She starts looking pregnant. God, there's something else I wanted to say about that story too, but now I can't remember what it was. I don't know, something in regards with her and the government, but now I can't remember what my train of thought on that was.
I have seen a couple of videos. You talk about guys that interpret body language and stuff like that.
Oh, right.
About her speeches and whatnot, and most of them are pretty condemning. Most of the things I've seen to don't really see a lot of sincerity in what she's doing or saying, and see as bad acting, but acting nonetheless.
And I still want to know. I want to know what those letters stand for on those rings. Because, I swear to God, that one, especially with it's been a couple of clips where she's very purposely got the cloth in this hand and is just dabbing her eye with those ginormous rings just right there, like she's trying to show you something. You know what I mean? I don't know. And like I said, anybody that's just got that perma smile, and I know there are girls that are taught that from day one. You gotta,
right. Well, and not only that, but she was, in her defense for the perma-smile thing, and I think I mentioned this before, she was a beauty pageant winner.
Yeah.
And so they're absolutely trained to just plaster a smile on their face. So I could see that slipping back into that.
I wonder how young she got into that. I wonder if she was one of those little girls that was doing it. Where they have the little 5 to 8 year olds. I wonder if.
I don't know. I believe she was Miss Arizona. I could be mistaken, but I think that's this pageant she won.
But you can get into that pageant circuit really young. 8, 10 years old.
That horrible show that used to be on TV called Toddlers and Tiaras.
Yes,
that was just brutal. With moms, shoving little 4-year-olds out there and making them dance, and it was insane. Yeah, and that's that puts the cult in culture. When you think about that kind of culture, it's like, man, that's just, I don't know. I don't know if I could ever really. The beauty pageant for children is such a creepy, unnatural. I don't understand how it was ever acceptable in
I don't either.
At any time. It's just creepy. It's weird.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it kind of evolved out of talent shows, which is, talent shows for kids. Great. If you could sing or dance.
Talent show, but they
ride a unicorn, whatever.
They'd have swimsuit competitions.
Yeah, that's
it's
that's
insane.
And it's funny too. The mothers that make their kids do that are the same ones that scream the loudest about guys going into the girls' room or something like that. They'll be the first ones. Ah, yeah, that's that whole. Yeah, it's crazy. And, I guess, is there a male version of that? I guess guys sending their kids to, training their kids to play football and wrestle and stuff like that. I guess it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, but there's also women's sports and cheerleading and all, gymnastics
Right.
and ballet, and there's a lot of physical and not frankly as demeaning things as a beauty pageant that girls
Right.
get pushed into that I think are more the parallel of those things that you just described for boys, like sports teams and karate class and stuff like that. I don't know that there's a direct comparison for males, little boys for beauty pageants. I guess there's no law that says you can't put them in one, but I don't know.
Well, nowadays, I'm sure there's some, I'm sure there's some young kids. Oh, as a matter of fact, I've seen they had some young kid that was dressed up as a cheerleader for one of like an NFL team. They had him go out, and it was like a big backlash about that. And that kid couldn't have been like more than 10, 12 years old or something like that. So, yeah, I mean, I'm sure they would do it if they could now. But, what's funny is as alien as anything like that seems to you and I, it's because we were raised so feral. A lot of people were brought up with like certain things, just being indoctrinated on them as a young child, either being being a hunter or a fisherman or something like that. I mean, you might not have wanted to be a fisherman, but if your dad took you out every damn day and you just know how to fish, that you just kind of morph yourself into sooner or later. Either you hate it or you end up doing it.
That's funny. My dad really did. I mean, I didn't grow up with him, but seeing him later in life and as a teenager and stuff, summer vacations and whatnot, he really, really liked to fish. And I had no interest in it whatsoever, but it was basically the only way I was going to spend any time with him. So
Right.
I did go out on the boat a lot and just, hung out with him and hated the fishing part.
Well, I mean, truthfully, fishing is one of the things that, like, that doesn't take a lot of. Once you get the lines out and everything, I mean, there's a lot of time for introspection and a lot of time for you guys to talk stuff out and exchange ideas and do stuff like that. It's not like you're all busy.
I didn't mind any of the. I didn't like. It's funny. I hate the taste of freshwater fish, but I liked fishing on the lake way more because my problem with fishing out off the inlets and stuff is that I just got seasick, and so it was just the whole experience would be miserable because I'd be throwing up the whole time.
No kidding. You get the motion sickness, huh?
Well, I mean, not on a big boat, but these were not big boats. These were, 21, 23, 28
Right.
foot, I think was the biggest
I've
maybe
never-
I ever had. And, once you're in 3-4 foot choppy waves, yeah, I get seasick.
Yeah, I never had any problem with that. But I'm kind of like you with the fishing. I don't have the patience for fishing. Not to mention, I mean, I used to be a big time fisherman, but it was when I was diving. And then, when I got a Hawaiian sling and I'm like, okay, there's the fish I want right there. And you can go get
Yeah,
it.
I was going to say, to me, it was always boring. But then again, I've never tried like fly fishing. That looks kind of energetic and requiring a lot of skill and not as boring because you're constantly doing something. You're not just waiting for something to happen.
True.
And I can certainly see, diving and spearfishing and stuff like that being a completely different thing altogether. Plus, when you're spearfishing, you get to choose. I want that fish.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? It's not like just a hook down there and whatever bites it. Like,
right. Exactly.
You're hungry for mahi, then you go looking for a mahi.
Well, but it's funny too because that highlights all the different kind of fishing. Because like if you're fly fishing, you pretty much know what you're going to catch, and there's other kind of fishing where like I just saw a video on Facebook the other day that I thought was pretty wild. The guy had like a spinning reel, and they had just headed out on a boat and could see a school of tuna doing like a feeding frenzy or something. So this guy only had like a spinner reel, which isn't a very big fishing rod. And they're out there trying to catch a tuna, and sure enough, this guy gets a tuna on, and it probably took him a couple of hours to reel this thing in. But this guy caught a 200-pound frickin' tuna with this little fishing pole. I was like, Jesus Christ. I mean, they could barely pull this thing in the boat. It was so huge. But, they knew what they were getting. But there are so many types of fishing where you just sink a line down over a reef or something and just, we'll see what we get. Might get a snapper, might get a grouper.
And the difference, too, between the whole how the fish get spooked. Like you can be on a lake or a river or something like that. If the water is kind of shallow, I mean, you cough loud or your shadow falls the wrong way, boom, you're done for the next 20 or 30 minutes at least, or you got to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Whereas I've been, off the coast of Myrtle Beach, Murrells Inlet up there in South Carolina, with my dad trying to catch kingfish, and you'll catch the same shark 4 times in a row. He's still bleeding out of his mouth from the last 3 times you caught him. It's like, after the 3rd time, it's like, do you just want me to kill you and throw you in the boat? Is it trying to end your own life? I'm tired of catching you.
Yeah, yeah. All right, well, we're done catching the shark for today, I think. Probably wrap this one up. Leave us some more comments to talk about.
Leave us comments. Go ahead, like, comment, share, subscribe, all those good things, and call us and leave us a message, or call us assholes, or just call us.
So nobody's really calling the number yet, huh?
No, not a one. 904-549-9024.
Let me ask you this. Are you capable of getting a text on that number?
Yes.
Okay, so text him. Don't call him. Text him. Everybody likes to text. Nobody likes to call.
Text me too. Yeah, for sure. Same number.
But then again, it'd probably be just much easier just to leave a comment in the YouTube page. But then again, maybe they're not on YouTube. They could be on Spotify or whatever. So yeah, text the number and leave us a comment. Perfect. All right, brother. We'll see you next time.
Yep. Take it easy.